We're here today with author Michael Koryta, whose new book is So Cold the River. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Can you tell us how you found this magnificent hotel here?
The first time I found the hotel, I was about 8 years old, and my father and mother brought my sister down to see the place. We grew up in Bloomington. It's about an hour to the north, and at that point the hotel was in a state of total disrepair. You could pay a nominal fee, $2 or something, and walk into this grand room, only at the time it was not nearly so grand. It was the picture of decay. And it stuck with me as an extremely vivid memory, particularly for that young of an age, because you could feel the weight of the past here. You could feel the grandeur that had been here, and there were these questions that immediately came to mind with that realization. One being, why had it ever existed in such an out-of-the-way place? And then the second one being, once it existed, where had it gone? You know, why had it disappeared so completely?
Now, when you went to write the book, it was restored. What kind of impact did that have on you then when you came back to it?
Seeing the hotel, I'd followed the history very carefully as the various efforts were made to restore the hotel. But the moment I walked into this room for the first time and saw the finished job, you know, the balconies restored, the dome restored, it truly is a moment that can take your breath away. And having seen it as a ruin and then seen it as it was once, it was like walking out of one era and into another. And I began to feel at that point very possessive about this place and the history, because I thought, there's a great story here, and now that it's restored, if I don't get to it first, somebody else will. And I felt some ownership to it in a way, you know, because I'd grown up with the place. So the restoration was the catalyst in really beginning to chase the story more actively.
So when you were creating the characters, did you find that the locale helped to dictate who they were, or did you kind of build them around the locale?
Both. Certainly with the book is somewhat divided between locals and out-of-towners. The protagonist, Eric Shaw, is an out-of-towner. He's a filmmaker, a failed filmmaker, a brooding and bitter guy at the start of the book who is completely unable to realize that his own vanity and ego are to blame for his self-destruction. And I knew I wanted that sort of character to work with thematically on an internal level. On an external level, by making him a cinematographer, I thought it gave me a great opportunity to really go on about the visual beauty of this place and the power of it in a way that was organic to the plot, that I wouldn't just be taking asides to describe architecture, because Eric, as a cinematographer, would care about the shots and the places of visual power. And the locals certainly shaped by place. I mean, I grew up in southern Indiana. I think I have a very deep connection to this area.
Yeah. One of the greatest things about the book is the way you were able to create and capture an atmosphere.
Thank you.
When I read the book, it almost felt like I was more in the past than I was in the present.
Right.
Because it takes place a little bit in both.
Yeah.
How did you create that?
That's great to hear. I'd written 5 crime novels. The reason I decided that this one had to be a ghost story is because I really wanted to merge past and present in one novel. And the ghost story does that inherently, and it does it very well. It seemed to offer an opportunity to bring the rich history of the place into the narrative of the present. And so I did that through Eric's visions. The water triggers these visions of the past. And I really wanted those visions to feel like a narrative within a narrative, where it intersects with Eric, but it also is taking the reader off on a separate journey, a parallel journey. And I'm glad to hear that you think it works.
It worked. So throughout the novel, there's a haunting violin that is weaved throughout.
Yes.
How did that come about?
It's from a song called Short Trip Home by a violinist named Joshua Bell. He's a world-renowned violinist, and he actually grew up in the same hometown as I did. We went to the same high school, went to the same college, years apart, and I've never met Mr. Bell, but if you grow up in Bloomington, you know of his music. And he worked on a piece with Edgar Meyer. Edgar Meyer is also an Indiana University graduate. And Short Trip Home is an Americana, folk-inspired strings piece. And it's this beautiful, haunting song. And I fell in love with the song about 3 years ago, well before I started writing So Cold the River. And I remember telling a friend, I said, I'm going to write a story to this song because it seemed that powerful to me. And I was thinking about the story behind the song, and I hit on an image, a visual image of a Depression-era prodigy who's playing in tattered clothes, playing with his eyes squeezed shut, and playing for coins with an open violin case beneath him. And I envisioned this taking place in this lobby, in a really grand cathedral. Essentially, he's playing in a magnificent hall, but he is a child with nothing. And so then I began to view the song as an elegy for lost parents, and I began to imagine him in the company of a very dark man. And so again, the questions from which I extract story begin to arise then. What happened to his parents? Who is he living with? And how did he fall into, the care of this, very, very dark man? And what about the song appeals to, the evil, malevolent force of the book?
One of the most fantastic characters is the villain, more or less, Josiah Bradford. And I remember reading the book. He was such a loose cannon that as I went along, when he came on the page, I started to get kind of nervous and agitated.
That's good.
Oh my God, what is he going to do next? I mean, he was so loose.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for a character like that?
I wanted to write, as I said with Eric, I wanted to write a book that dealt a lot with the vanity and ego and ambition, and the point where they intersect and the point where you can tip over the edge and collapse beneath it. And in two different worlds, they're running really a parallel course in that regard. Josiah he's a bright guy, but he dropped out of high school because he didn't feel like he needed high school. He's a bitter guy because he feels as if he should occupy a position of power. People should respect him. The issue of respect is central to Josiah, who's done really nothing to achieve any sort of noteworthy qualities in his life, and it's that absence that's eating at him. And I thought that character would be both a nice foil for Eric, but also a parallel storyline, but both making similar points about the price of ambition and how you can lose your soul to really seeking fame.
Now, the mineral springs play a very important part throughout the book.
As I drink my water,
Were you ever tempted to try the water?
I did.
Did you?
Yes, you can still take a genuine, in West Baden Springs it's called Sprudel water. In French Lick it's Pluto water. You can still take a genuine Sprudel spa. And it was really funny. I wanted to have that experience because I knew I wanted to set a scene in the spa. And I asked if I could have just the natural water treatment. And the girl working in the spa kept insisting, you really want aromatherapy for this. It's going to be very intensely sulfuric. And I kept insisting, no, I want the original, the way it was. And it is a pretty intense, unpleasant smell, but it was interesting to get an idea of how people came here and sat in that water and believed, that it would be a healer. And so, of course, I couldn't resist taking a palmful of water from the faucet as it was running out and sampling a little bit. Yeah, no visions though. The ghost stayed away from me.
Well, you did such a great job that I think I would even try the water. So, without giving much away about the bottle, but
Very
I think
good.
I definitely would have tried it.
Try that.
Michael, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support of Borders very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.